Welcome to the Plant Cunning Podcast,
where we explore a relationship to plants, other people, and the mysteries of nature.
Coming to you from the high Allegheny Plateau in central New York.
We are your hosts, A.C. Stauble
and Isaac Hill. Okay, so today on the Plant Cunning Podcast, we have Byron Ballard, the Village Witch of Asheville, North Carolina, back on the show.
Hi, Byron.
Hello, my darlings.
Hello.
Lovely to see your face again.
I know. It's so good to see your faces and to hear your voices. It's been a while.
I know, it has. Yeah.
A lot has happened, too.
Yes.
Seems like there's always a lot
you got a
happening
puppy.
these days. We
got
do,
a
yeah.
puppy. Yes, little Percy. Yep.
Percy.
Yeah.
Persimmon. He's a little sugar plum.
Yeah.
Oh, he will be.
He will be. He's got
when he gets
sharp
past
teeth
the
right
crazy
now.
stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a meme, I think, today in social media of the 3 stages of dog ownership, and there's an adorable puppy, and it says 0 to 4 months, and then it says 4 months to 2 years, and there's like a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yes.
And then 2 years to infinity. He's just a beautiful dog again.
Beautiful dog, yes.
Yeah, so
exactly.
Rex
We're in
face.
the really cute puppy phase still.
Look at that. Look at that face.
Yeah.
Oh, healers are such wonderful dogs.
Yes. He's already such a good boy. He does tricks and he will like stop if you're like, don't do it. He'll stop, which is great. Love that.
He's got a little Pomeranian, or as AC says, pomegranate in him too. So he's a little bit more like
persimmon and pomegranate. I like that.
He's a very sweet guy.
So he's a little bit less as working breed as
more of a lap dog.
Yeah. Then like our other healer border collie mix is very attentive.
Yes.
He's got a lot of energy every day. He's got to be outside working the flock.
Yeah.
Where he's very unhappy.
Well, I mean, working dogs, in America, our dogs are our babies. So the idea that you would put your child out into the coal mine is abhorrent. But man, a dog, especially a dog that's a working dog like that, they need to be outside herding things. It doesn't even matter what the things are.
Right.
My daughter and her partner have a healer mix, and they were at the shelter where the dog was, and they put the 2 people and the person and the dog in the room together, and the dog kept herding them closer to each other.
Oh.
And finally, when the 2 of them were close together, the dog just sat down and looked at him like, well done, humans, well done.
I've already trained these ones.
These are good. And we were just up there for Yuletide. Nice. And his name is Pepper Jack, PJ.
Oh,
and he would do the same thing. Like if I was in the kitchen and somebody was in the living room or he would come and stand and kind of nudge you like, you're not all in the same place. I can't watch you. I can't protect you if you're in the kitchen. So you need to move in the other room right now. No, I mean right now.
Yes, I know. That's so true. They really do that. We're their flock.
Yeah.
We are. They're a little herd of animals. That's us.
Yeah.
So we got a new puppy. You came out with a book this year.
Yeah.
Want to tell us a little bit about that?
I did. And I laugh about it because I came out with a new book this year while writing a book that is super important to me. So the new book it's called Small Magics, and it's from Llewellyn. It came out in August. And that was one of those weird things that happened. So I have been teaching for many years a class called Simple Practical Magic. And it's about the building blocks of magical practice. It's about grounding and harvesting energy, centering that energy, sending it out with intention, and making magic. So there were some people in social media, you probably have seen them, who are just as ignorant as they can be about almost everything. So there was a huge argument in whatever social media platform it was. And I said, for the love of Mike, do I need to write a book about my simple magical practice class? And my editor at Llewellyn came into the conversation and she said, yeah, I'm going to send you a private message. So, so she said, yes, please.
Yes, please.
And I signed the contract and wrote the book, and it's good. And I don't want to take anything from it. It's a good, solid book, but it's really practical. I approach everything in a very practical, down to earth way.
Yeah.
And so there's not a lot of woo woo in this book. There's a lot of stuff about here's what grounding looks like. And here are, I don't know, maybe half a dozen ways that you can ground. And here is what shielding looks like. And here are some ways you can do that. But it's really based, the whole book, Small Magics, is based on you practicing magic, not about memorizing a handful of spells and spending $400 on a carved stick. It's all about you and your personal responsibility.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my new one.
I think that's very important for a lot of people. Because I think we sometimes overestimate like competence level. And
it's true. No, it's true.
It's always good to get back to basics, I think.
Yes. Yep. And I talk a lot about the Buddhist concept of beginner's mind.
Yeah.
So that if you are somebody, like I've been practicing magic for decades, literally. But when I started teaching it and writing about it, I really had to go back to the basics and go, am I still doing what I learned to do? Have I tweaked those techniques? If I tweaked them, why? Do I want to go back to the original technique and see if it works for me now? I mean, I really approach that kind of stuff like a scientist.
Yeah.
And I see if it works. And if it doesn't work, I want to know why it didn't work.
I think that's a really helpful way of looking at it and approaching it, because it's a real thing. And a lot of people, I think, subconsciously don't believe that magic is real. So they don't treat it like a real thing that
they just go through the motions.
Right. Yeah. And and if it works, it can work better, it can work worse. And so looking back and seeing why things didn't work, and that's a very important way to look at it as a scientist. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we want our work, whatever our work is, we want it to be effective. We don't want to, oh, well, maybe we do want to pretend we're doing it so we look like we're doing it for some reason. But I mean, I want my techniques to work. And if they don't work, I want to know why.
Yeah. So what's the new book about that you're so very excited about?
I referred to them for a while as the new book and the new book. So I guess now that Small Magics is out, I can just say the book that is in its editing stage now is called Feral Church, Finding Goddess in the Wilderness. And it is, I've never written a book like this, and this is my 9th book, I guess. But it's not about rewilding, because that phrase doesn't even mean anything anymore. It is a book of meditative practices that take you to a different place to experience different ecosystems and biospheres. I don't know. It's crazy. Here's what I would do. I would take a chapter and I would think, where do I want to place this chapter? I think I want to place it on the steppes in Asiatic Europe. And then through a meditative, almost a quote unquote shamanic process, I would go there to that place. And then I would see what happened and I'd write it down. So, and when I can say that to you two and you're just like, oh yeah, no, cool. But it's the kind of thing that when you talk to other writers, they go, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So you went to the steppes, and I said, yeah, but first I had to figure out, did I want the steppes or the tundra? Because those things are different. It's a different kind of biosphere. And they were like, and other authors are like, and then what happened? Well, then we went into the water in this very, very cold pond and we sprouted gills. Oh, did you? So who knows? Bless them. I offered it to Wiser. They didn't want it. And Llewellyn is doing it. I just think it's a very weird book. And I think people who know me are going to go, is she like microdosing psilocybin now? Because I'm not sure what's going on here.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, but my editor said, "Oh my God, the writing is so good. I just don't know that people are going to know what's going on." It was like, "Yeah, what can I say? Yeah, maybe not." But they're editors and they will make it understandable. That's their job.
Yeah, yes. Perfect. That's so interesting. I'm so
Yeah,
excited.
it was something I felt called to do, a book on goddess spirituality. That's not one more book on these are the goddesses, these are their names, these
Right.
are their stories. Is that
Yeah.
if the land, in fact, if the earth is Gaia, if the earth is the goddess, then how does that change our relationship both with the concept of goddess, but also with the concept of the earth? So we'll see. I'll send you a copy when it's
Okay.
I can't
published.
wait to read it. Fantastic.
I think the best books are definitely a little bit weird.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
when you're breaking new ground. That's got to be a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was 2023 was a challenging year in a whole lot of ways.
Yeah.
And that was certainly a hallmark of the challenge. It's like, are you really going to write a book about this? And how are you going to do that? And for a while, I wasn't even sure I could write the book.
But you did it. So
I did it.
congratulations.
65,000 words. Went to
Wow.
an editor.
Amazing.
Congrats. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. Thanks.
2023 was definitely very challenging, though. It doesn't seem to let up. We just did an astrology forecast.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be getting any better
For the next few years.
for the next maybe probably 10.
Really? Because
Well-
I just thought it was all those, we had so many retrograde planets last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, but we've got, oh man. This
Spit it
eclipse,
out.
we're looking at in the spring, I think it's going to be a lot worse than people think. It just like
In
what it
April.
signifies too. It's a solar eclipse during like the degree after the sun's exaltation in Aries. So it's like
Ugh.
so it's the sun is at the most powerful point in the zodiac, and then the next day, 2 days later, total eclipse. It's visible throughout the U.S. At the same time that the eclipse is happening, the Lord of the eclipse, Mars, who rules Aries, is conjunct Saturn. So it's like
Saturn's the
yeah,
restriction and
doesn't look good.
yeah.
And then we've got a bunch of other fun stuff happening with the outer planets. They're all changing signs throughout this year and next year. So 2024, 2025 I think they're big shifting times for the US especially, but also for the geopolitical situation. So, it's tower times.
Yeah, tower times. As you call it.
It is. It's been really interesting to have people, people are kind of cavalier about it now. They'll go, tower time. And I'm like, yeah, but do you know what I mean when I say that? Because it's not good.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not
Not easy.
Not easy, yeah. Probably not very comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, it may in fact be good,
yeah,
but not be comfortable or easy. Yeah. Yeah.
A big shift.
I read tarot today at our local metaphysical shop, Raven and Crone. So it was my first tarot reading of the year for somebody, not me. And I laid out the cards and I was almost not afraid exactly, but I was like, oh, what is it going to be?
Yeah.
But this woman had the most profoundly wonderful reading. And it was exactly where she needed to be and what she needed to hear. And it was an easy read. Sometimes you lay down the cards and it's just easy.
Yeah.
You just start at one place and you read right through. And she had a couple of questions and we got some clarity on that. But it was a beautiful reading. And then the second reading I did was the same way. It was a little bit harder because she was looking for something very kind of concrete about an interpersonal relationship. And I said, yeah. I mean, that's not going to be the way you want it to be. But here, look at this piece here.
Okay.
So,
That's
yeah.
good. Maybe the individual will still be able to have, great experiences and growth throughout the tower times, throughout the intense astrology forecast that we have ahead and the yeah, the political forecasts and all of that. Like, I think we can all like learn and grow and build the things that we need
Yeah.
to recreate what we want to see after things crumble, after like, the industrial complex starts to dismantle itself. Like, we need to have other systems in place already. And that's the time. Now is the time to be doing that,
Yeah. And it's hard because we don't have a lot of that modeled for us.
Yeah.
Right.
But we're going to have to go without models. We're going to have to figure it out for ourselves, which we are perfectly capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think,
Yeah.
we're the people to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
and in
Yeah.
times where there's a lot of change happening, it can be even easier for people, for some individuals, to manifest things that they desire, potentially.
Mhm.
Because when everybody's eyes are on something else, something big happening, like the geopolitical alliances recalibrating or war somewhere else, you can just focus on what you want to do and
Yeah.
get it done. Assuming that there aren't other things happening. But
Right. Well, because that kind of chaos, there's always opportunity in there
yeah,
if you can approach it without a lot of fear. That's what stymies us as
Yeah,
humans.
it's true.
We get wrapped up in the kind of fear, fight, flight, freeze
We do.
cycle, and we can't think as clearly as we probably should.
Yeah.
and that's one thing also that I think magic practice can help us with in those times of crisis, is to be able to react or not just react, but act.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
Well, and we have those techniques and protocols that can center us in a way that maybe other people don't have that technique for. Once you get
Yeah.
yourself centered and shielded and grounded,
Mm-hmm.
you're able to kind of discern what's really going on under the surface. And that's a lot of times that's really important. I think
Yeah.
about, we just finished a Mercury retrograde cycle yesterday, I think.
Mm-hmm.
it went
Maybe
went direct
today.
on the first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yesterday. This is tomorrow, so yeah, Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And people get terrified of Mercury retrograde, but it's a wonderful time to finish up old projects. So if we can know astrologically or through a divination system, I don't think of astrology as divination. I think of that as science, actually. But
Mm-hmm.
if you can figure out what's happening and figure out what the strong points of it are, then you can work within the paradigm that
Yeah.
either the astrology or the divination creates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. You can
Yeah.
tack your sails.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Uh,
it's not like Mercury retrograde is not the time to sign contracts or to think you're seeing all the real details. But if you've got that project that you've been not getting done for a whole year, it might be a good time to relook at that
So
and
true.
finish it up.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. All those words that begin with "re" are good to do.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's not a good time to start a new book, but it's a good time to edit it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
So we're also, now that Mercury has station direct, we're in a new year. This month is actually really good for getting stuff done. The sun is in Capricorn, then we're going to have Venus, Mercury, and Mars in Capricorn. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So this month is actually a really good time to get some habits started in a good way and
Yes.
set intentions for the rest of the year. And I was thinking that maybe we could talk about some of the intentions that we have for this year. And I know it's magically, it's good to keep certain things close to the chest and not just reveal them, but other things are very good to proclaim out into the world too.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got some
I
things
love that
about.
we're on the same page about that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get frustrated, especially in social media, where
Yeah.
you don't have to tell everything you know, baby. It's okay.
Yeah,
No.
totally.
Usually oftentimes you're just telling how much you don't know. And I'm guilty of that too, but it's a way to learn,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think we all are. All are guilty of that.
Yeah.
yeah. So
Well,
do you
I
have
don't know about you all, but my discernment process about that starts way back at my new year, which is in November.
Mhm.
And last year I was on tour a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was on tour too much.
Okay.
I was on tour so much that for the first time in many years, I didn't grow a garden because we no longer have reliable rainfall. So I
Uh-huh.
couldn't plant a garden. I mean, I did plant a garden, but if there was not rainfall and I was not here to water, then there were no beans. So
Mm,
I didn't, as a result of not having a garden, I didn't do any canning last year
mhm,
either. So those things that for me are really grounding, homely practices, I
mhm.
missed out on them last year because I felt like I needed to be in a lot of places. So this year, I mean, I've looked at my schedule and there are giant gaps. In fact, when I get to the middle of April, I will have done three, four, like 6 or 7 of the 11 things I'm doing next year, which gives me lots of time to be home, growing a garden, um, refencing, just doing a bunch of things that have not gotten done because I've not been here. So my big intention is, in a way, is to return to my roots and return to the things that give me my own personal stability and that give me joy.
Yeah.
I think that's a great intention. I'm also, I feel you on that. When I was in a band touring around all the time, it got quite draining, and you don't have time in your garden to recharge either,
No,
and that's really
um,
important.
I did what felt to me like an important essay the other day, and it was tricky to write, and when I finished it, I hit send on the computer and I went outside and
Mhm.
I just wandered around outside, and that's what I needed to do. I had to reconnect with the real thing
Mm.
Mhm.
because my words on the particular topic I was writing on were words everybody has heard me say 1,000 times, and I tried to write them out in a different sort of configuration, but the real thing is what's under our feet and what's in our lungs and what's over our heads. That's the
Mhm.
real thing.
Totally.
Yeah. So
How
do
about
you?
you two? You got resolutions for this year or intentions for this year?
Very similar to we have a lot of intentions about the garden. I want to spend more time in the garden. I've been doing a lot of computer work and things in the like online realm, and it's definitely taken me out of my usual roles and weeding and harvesting and all of that as much as I want to. So that's a big thing for me is just spending more time in the garden and um growing more of the herbs that I use on a regular basis in my practice. Things that don't make sense to buy. I try to most of the herbs that I use in my herbal products I grow myself, except for a couple that are hard to grow around here. But um yeah, I just want to be able to offer more tea blends because I just sell out. I'll sell out all my tinctures and teas. So I want to just like keep expanding so that I can be serving more of my community with the local herbs like right from here. So that is a big part of it. And just spending more time in nature. We've talked about going to more botanic gardens this year. That's one of our favorite things to do together
Oh,
is like date night is like go to a botanic garden. Or when we
that's a great
travel.
date night.
It
Good
is,
move.
yeah.
Date day.
Date
Yeah.
day. And whenever we travel, like that's the first thing we look in the city is like, is there any botanic gardens here or like a cool hiking spot or. Um, so we want to do more exploring and canoeing and hiking and
Yeah.
visiting all the waterfalls in the area. So spending
Oh
time in
yeah.
nature is a big, big one for this year.
I,
And you're
I
also going
used to I used to walk every day. I'd walk a couple of
to.
miles every day, which was basically just walking through and around my neighborhood, and I would see what was growing and what was blooming and what animals were around. And I haven't
Mhm.
done that in a couple of years. And that's another thing for me. I want to get back to just being outside and walking around,
Yes.
rambling around.
Rambling. Love that.
Yeah.
That's actually one
Yeah.
of my the one of the things I'm going to be doing. I'm doing already, but for this winter especially is walking every day. That's kind of a meditative practice.
Yeah.
A good way to think, that kind of meditation where you're focused on a particular well thing that you want to think about.
Yeah. Or
And
you just walk and the
yeah,
thing you should be thinking about comes in your head.
Yeah.
that's all. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of walking meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I used to walk at a local park around their track, and people would say, "Well, why don't you go, walk in the woods?" Or, well, because if I'm doing a walking meditation, I don't necessarily want to think about where my feet are going.
Yeah,
I want to be able to just walk
Mm-hmm.
and let my brain be free.
Sure.
exactly. That's why I walk on the roads, which is really nice too, because we have these beautiful, we're in the foothills and there's not too much traffic here, so I can walk on the road and be pretty undisturbed. But if I'm walking in the woods, then I'm also a lot more distracted.
Yeah.
It's like,
Animal.
what's that?
Mushroom.
Right. So yeah, walking, I mean, the road can also be kind of distracting, but it is nice and level and
Yeah.
for the most part and flat.
Yeah.
It is a lot better for the meditative walks for sure.
I
So
love that you two go on date night to the botanical gardens. It just makes me happy.
yeah, so yeah, that's what we do. Like when we go, we were in Florida this past January in 2023, and we went to like 3 or 4 botanical gardens, like pretty
Eating tropical fruits and
yeah, and
just
yeah,
exploring
Mm.
and seeing all the like lizards and iguanas and stuff, snakes and alligators.
Well, we're also one of our intentions, long-term intentions for this property is to turn into a botanical gardens of sorts,
Mm-hmm.
just more on medicinal plants and that sort of thing. Have it be an educational place too. So it's always nice to see how other people lay out their gardens, and then it's also nice to be able to meet all the plants that you wouldn't have met otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
I love meeting new plants, and
Yeah.
it's always helpful if there's somebody around who can tell you something about it. I met a new Artemisia
Mm.
in North Dakota. I was there 2 year and a half ago, something like that. And Artemisias are so easy to spot.
Mm-hmm.
Would think you see it and it's obviously one, but this was like 2 inches tall.
Okay.
It was really small, but it was in the northern part of North Dakota.
Mm.
Uh-huh. So it
So it made
grew that way.
sense. And
Yeah.
and I pointed at it to what I was there for a festival, and I said, "Is that an Artemisia?" And they were like, "Well, I don't know, maybe it is." I don't know. And literally Canada was right over there. So that's how far north we were.
Mm.
And so I leaned down and I petted it because I didn't know it well enough to pick a leaf and bring it up to my nose. And then I just got down on all fours and got my face right into this plant
Mm.
and sniffed it and pinched it and all that stuff you do. And then and of course they were looking at me like I was crazy. And I got up and dusted myself off and went, yeah, it's an Artemisia.
Yeah. For sure.
Definitely.
That's
And then I looked it
awesome.
up when I had Wi-Fi again, and I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, little
Oh, cool.
Artemisia.
One of those white
Those
like
suckers are everywhere.
yeah,
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
are. They are. They're a fantastic genus.
Mhm.
It's such a helpful ally.
Yeah, for sure. So are there any new plant friends that you're interested in growing this year in your garden?
Well, we lost our last apple tree a few
No.
years ago. So our gift to each other, my husband and our anniversary is on the winter solstice.
Mhm.
Well, it's a couple of days after the winter solstice. And so for our anniversary gift for each other, we're giving each other 2 apple trees and then another fruit tree. And
Nice.
we'll put those in this year. So I'm really looking forward to becoming an orchard keeper again, because I really love food bearing trees.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
just feels like the most beautiful symbiotic relationship ever.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm looking at different kinds of apples. I want to make sure at least one of them is a cider apple because I love to
Mhm.
make cider.
Mhm.
And then the other one may be a good all around sort of eating apple. So yeah, and
Awesome.
I think that's going to be my big new thing this year is is becoming an orchard woman again. How
Excellent.
about you all? What are you into this year?
Well, I'm excited about a couple trees too. I'm getting some suckers of Chickasaw plum cultivars
Yeah.
in. So that's a native plum from the southeast. It's very drought resistant, and it's resistant to a lot of the diseases like black knot. But there are apparently some cultivars of it that have larger fruits, and
Oh,
I found a fellow who has suckers from because it's suckers, and so it's a
yeah.
clone from the roots, which is to me a lot better than like grafting. So,
Yeah.
and then you
It's
can
healthier.
yeah, and then you can expand it easily by suckers too. So I'm excited about those. I'm also really excited about some new persimmon varieties. I'm going to graft some of those.
Hmm.
There are some new American, like straight American persimmon varieties, newer that a man named Claypool developed, and they're really, really good, high quality, big persimmons. And I'm getting some signwood of those coming in. And then there are now third and fourth generation hybrids of American and Asian persimmons that have been developed in the Ukraine, and they are now some of these hybrids are now hardy in zone 5, which the first
Wow.
yeah. So the American persimmons are hardy up here, but the hybrids never have been, because there are a couple first generation hybrids that are hardy to like zone 6, maybe like zone
Yeah.
6B probably, but still in these like polar vortexes can sometimes get hit. But these new varieties have some potential this far north, and they're early ripening, which is a crucial thing because we have kind of cooler summers, a shorter
Yeah.
growing season.
What's your growing season like?
Well, the thing is, we're in an area that used to be considered 4B, and now is considered 5B.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, in 2020 we had a small frost in June and in September. Um,
Oh,
but so it nipped like our holy basil. So it was maybe like a 35-degree frost, so it wasn't super hard, but it did nip a lot of new early tender growth. So that can be a bit of a problem. But like this year we all of May was frost free until one late frost, you know?
oh,
And then, so it's kind of we have a shorter growing season, but it's getting warmer.
Yeah, it's definitely getting warmer and
But
windier.
but there's still late frosts. Yeah. And the
yeah.
the lowest like it doesn't get as cold as it used to either. So it used to get down to like -30 or -35 apparently.
And like 20 feet of
Whew.
snow, like just crazy amounts of snow.
Yeah. The first year we were here we had 4 feet of snow on Christmas. And it got down to like -20, -25 like once or twice. But we haven't even gone below 15 degrees this winter so far. We'll see how January
Uh,
and February are. So that's kind of the climate is definitely changing.
Yeah.
And we don't
yeah.
know exactly. And it's more like it's unpredictable. So
Well, here we're zone 7A, I think. Um, and they just changed it. And I can't remember if we went to A or to B. Doesn't matter. But not this past winter solstice, but winter solstice of 21, we got below zero. It got to be like 12 below.
yeah.
So that
Wow.
when we had our big herb conference the first weekend in May, they sold out of rosemary and lavender immediately
Oh,
because
Yeah.
there was nobody in the area whose rosemary plant had lived through that weather.
wow.
Nobody. It was crazy. And
And the
we had a
rosemary,
rosemary that was probably 5 feet tall.
yeah, I
And
was just gonna say that the rosemary down there is like a bush,
I
like
know it was
it's
huge, been in the ground
wild.
for a long time, and it was just like gone,
Oh
gone.
no.
But I mean, it happens. It happens.
Yeah, and then now we have, yeah, the rosemary has a fresh start, so.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah, we
good.
can.
Well, what kind of tinctures are you making or have you made for cold and flu season?
I've been really loving this elderberry garlic honey. It's not a tincture, but
Ooh,
it's just elderberries and fresh garlic, fresh elderberries and honey that a friend made for that they gave us a gift of a sorry, words. I'm so excited about it. So someone at the conference gave us this jar of this elder and garlic honey, and we've been taking spoonfuls of it like all throughout the cold and flu season and just like dodging every sickness that we come in contact with, like left and right, just like we're fine. So that's been
so is
really
it basically elderberries and garlic, cloves of garlic in honey?
yep, just the whole cloves and the whole berry. And then you
Oh,
cover it with honey and it makes it more like liquidy, but you can just drink the liquid or you could, take out a scoop and eat some of the garlic cloves themselves or the berries themselves. So that's been really, really good. I'm gonna make some more of
oh,
that.
yummy.
Yeah. And I also have been making like an immune respiratory tincture that people are really liking and a throat spray. So that
Oh, good.
that includes
What's in
like
the throat spray?
there's Spilanthes, elder, and calendula, and wild cherry bark, um and yarrow. Yarrow. Yeah, so
I
that's
never thought of
soothing.
spilanthes for that. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, Spilanthes. My friend Natasha, who's an herbalist in California, taught me about using Spilanthes like echinacea. She would just give her kids like shots of it and they would
Yeah.
shoot it back. And it's, intense because it makes your whole mouth water, and has that intense tingle. But you can use it similar to echinacea for immune support for cold and flu season. And then it's also good as like a throat spray and mouthwash kind of vibe. It gives you this like fresh feeling in your mouth.
As long as you don't use too much of it, it
Yeah,
has to be
yeah.
in the right proportion.
There's not a ton of it in the tincture, so it's not overpowering, but people get a little tingle from it. So I love that in a
Yeah.
throat spray.
Oh,
Um,
yummy, yummy.
yeah,
What
but
what did you do when COVID was around?
I would use elder and um usnea tincture, usnea
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah.
Apian's beard, uh and yarrow and bone set, um bical skullcap, which was kind of a new one that I was introduced to during the COVID times. It's
Hmm.
the root of the plant. It's not skullcap.
It's not Mad
Um,
Dog skull cap.
yeah,
Skull
not
cap.
not
Yeah.
Scutellaria
It's a
ladiflora.
Chinese skull cap. That's
Yeah.
a traditional Chinese
Oh, okay, okay.
plant.
And so
Yeah.
that was a really good one for like cooling down like the really hot conditions in people and
Hmm.
heat in the lungs. Um, and then reishi was one that was great for kind of preventing and like using as lung support as well, but making a strong tea with reishi and chaga and astragalus and licorice and
Usnea. Yeah.
usnea. And then the soothing properties of calendula and marshmallow and licorice if people, had a really sore throat or a cough or even like a belly ache. It kind of depended on the symptoms, but yeah, the immune herbs that I mostly went to were the elder, garlic, reishi, bone set, usnea, yarrow, and
I,
thyme for cough. Thyme was really good for cough.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to do more work with medicinal mushrooms.
Yeah.
I would love to take a class in that.
Oh
'Cause,
yeah.
yeah, my medicinal stuff is all about herbs. It's all about plants, and I
Yeah.
love mushrooms. I know a little bit more about them, I guess, as a culinary thing,
Hmm.
but they have so many amazing properties.
I helped out with a class that Botanic Wise put on, which um is like an herbal educational business out of like Pennsylvania, but they did a lot of online classes during COVID. And I helped out with a class with Chris Hobbs, and he taught all about medicinal mushrooms and he covered cooking and making tinctures or double extracts and powders and using them as food as medicine. And that was all done online and it was pretty affordable. So I would recommend Chris Hobbs for any mushroom courses if you're, I don't know if he's teaching it again this year, but keep an eye out for that if so.
Yeah, I will do that.
And his book on medicinal mushrooms is really great for giving you like recipes, like perfectly easy to understand how to make a double extract, how to make a mushroom powder. You can just use his book to recreate any of his recipes. So
Yeah, Christopher
Great.
Hoff.
I will check that out.
yeah.
Yeah, we did an interview with him too a couple years ago now. But he's a really, I mean, he's a really good herbalist, but he's also a mycologist. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
not a lot of,
Yeah. Yeah.
there aren't always, mycologist who are also herbalists or herbalists who are also mycologists. So he combines.
Right, right. And for a long time it seemed like there was not a competition exactly, but it felt like those were two very separate things. But they aren't, not at
No,
all.
yeah, definitely
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Yeah. I got super into mushrooms over the last few years. I'm totally hooked. We've been growing lots of shiitake and harvesting reishi and lion's mane and growing lion's mane on blocks. So yeah, I'm completely hooked to the fungi.
Yeah.
Well,
One of,
I want to know more and more and more because they intrigue me.
Yeah.
And two friends, but certainly one in particular, I saw her in May of last year, and she was basically giving up everything she had ever done. She was in pain all the time. She was ill all the time. She gave me a bunch of her fermentation equipment because she was never doing that again. And then I saw her in September, same woman a few months later. And in maybe June, she had started microdosing psilocybin.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
it had changed her entire life. I mean,
Wow.
she was 20 years younger than when
Really?
I'd seen her before.
Oh my
And
gosh, I'm so
she had
happy for her.
energy. She was standing and sitting upright. Before she had been exhausted. She was in pain. She was stooped over like an old woman. I mean, and she and I are in our 60s. We're not young women, but that was the key. She had started this micro dosing. And she didn't just invent it. It's a program that she's doing with a mycologist, I guess. And it has changed her life. And I've heard more and more stories about that.
Yeah, totally.
yeah, we also, people are doing Amanita muscaria a lot too nowadays, microdosing that.
Microdosing.
Yeah,
I
we had,
have a funny story about Amanita when you finish.
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, go ahead and
I want to hear it.
yeah.
I was at Wisteria,
Huh.
where we met. And I was talking to this guy who the year before had collected spores all through the woods and had grown sort of the wisteria, fill in the blank, whatever the mushroom was.
Oh.
And that was so sweet. And we were eating, so, we were eating them and whatever. So I'm leaving and he said, "Oh, wait, I've got something for you." And he gives me a little plastic container. And I went, "Oh, thank you," thinking it was the spores from whatever. No, it was dried amanita.
Oh.
And my first thought was, I am driving back across 4 state lines. How illegal is it?
Yeah.
But of course, it's not illegal at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So have you used it? Have you messed
Um,
around with it at all?
we haven't, I haven't really had any purpose to. But we had a friend, we interviewed him, and he actually spoke at the conference we had this summer too. And he is really big into amanitas, and it's helped him out a lot. Especially, it's apparently really good for getting off benzos.
Oh,
Is one thing that's really, so that's really helpful for being able to get off of pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
mhm.
But
And for pain management.
pain management,
Yeah.
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 So that was actually one of the great things about the conference we did this year. We had some mushroom stuff too, mycology track classes, and it integrated really well. I think there was definitely like a lot of herbalists who are really interested in the mycology and vice versa. So I think it's starting to really integrate together. Same with magic too, and that's really kind of what we're trying to do here is be that integration place between magic and spirituality, herbalism, plant work, and mushroom work as well. So to me, it's very hopeful.
It is hopeful, and there's so many things we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I realized, I guess probably a year and a half ago, maybe, that because I've been doing so much work kind of between the worlds. I've been doing a lot of work with plant spirits and other kind of spirits. And I realized it's the mycelium network. We travel from the place we live now to that spirit place across the mycelium network. That is the magic highway into those whole different worlds. And no, you don't have to be doing psilocybin or anything else. The road is there, the pathway is there. You just have to see the signs and follow them. Now, how crazy did that just sound, what I just said? But it's absolutely true.
Yeah. Yeah, one time I was really about to be very ill in the woods at a rainbow gathering, not from any drugs or anything. It was just like a neurovirus going around. And I looked up into the sky and I saw this network in the sky. It was of white light and it was like ley lines, like kind of like a grid, but like you could I was like, that's how you travel through time space, or that's how we connect with each other when we're not in the physical room with each other. And I like pointed up to the sky and I was like, look, like, you guys, are you seeing this? And everyone looked up and they're like, ooh, wow. So I thought they were seeing it. And I like kind of rounded the corner on the trail and I actually realized they were just like looking at the moon. And I was the only one that saw the grid. But it
Wow.
kind of reminds me of what you just said of the like mycelium network, that the trails are there and maybe we don't always see them, but we can follow them.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes for me, always that's been an intuitive way to work. But more and more, if I'm out in that perfect time of year where it's cool but not too cool and it's wet but not too wet, when you're in the woods and mycelium is everywhere, everywhere.
Yeah.
And you have a visual on a lot of it, but some of it you just don't see. But it's all there because the conditions are so perfect. So perfect. That smell of rain on years and years of mast and dead leaves and you just know the mushrooms are everywhere. Yeah. It's something that greater minds than mine have written about, so I don't think I'd ever write about it, but wow, I love studying it and reading about it.
Definitely.
Me too. Yeah, and that smell.
Yeah, the mushroom
That
smell.
smell.
Mushroom smell. Yeah.
Yeah, we do want to go back to our roots more, huh, this year? Like the mycelium.
More woods walks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. While we still have woods. I mean, where we are now, every cow pasture is turned into condominiums.
Oh.
They're slicing off the tops of mountains so that somebody can have a 5, 10, $15 million home with a helicopter pad because it's beautiful here and everybody wants to live here. So they want to destroy it because they want to live here a certain way.
Right.
If I never hear the word protect my viewshed again, it will be too soon. I had to remove those 300-year-old oak trees because they were ruining my viewshed. Yeah. Yeah.
Viewshed.
Yeah.
Wow.
You
That's
should
so sad.
get a big shed and put it in their view.
I'll give you a viewshed.
I'll give you one. A friend of mine has a horse farm. She raises big, like Clydesdales, big draft horses.
Beautiful.
And somebody moved in from somewhere else, and they have a beautiful big house on the hill. But they look down on her trailer. I mean, it's the trailer she hauls the horses in, which is big and ugly, and because it has to be sturdy enough to haul Clydesdales.
Yeah.
And then the neighbor said, could you do something about that? Like, I don't know, put like walls around it so I don't have to look at it. And my friend was like, this is a horse farm and it was here when you moved in.
Yeah.
So sorry if this disrupts your view shed, but this is where my horses live and there will be a smell. I promise you there will be a smell. It's crazy. People are crazy.
Yeah.
Be crazy sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I know.
Yeah. Well, are there other things you're excited about for this new year?
Yeah, I'm excited about connecting deeply, not only with my land base and any land base I'm on, but connecting deeply with community
Hmm.
and making sure we have good communications, not
Mhm.
just that we speak and the other person listens, but that we really are understanding on a cellular level where we are and what we're doing. I think it's important. I think we take communication for granted because it seems so easy. I send you a
Really
text.
hard though.
How are you all doing? Send you a text. I send you an email. But I want more than that.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
I'm
and
not sure how to get that, but I want more than that. I want deeper connection.
Mhm.
I think the in-person thing is just a really crucial part of that too, because there's a lot of communication that happens that isn't
Yeah.
just verbal, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah,
It's
that's one
kind
of
of the thing that humans do. It's a thing humans do well and subtly,
yeah.
Yeah.
is that communication on a nonverbal level.
Mhm.
It's important, and I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it go by the wayside when we assume that me talking to you like this is more important than just sitting with you and communicating the way animals communicate.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, just
How about
being
you all? What are you excited about for the new year?
well,
I'm gonna be leaning into teaching myself more this year. And I would like to teach a workshop about once a month, or a plant walk at a few different places in the local area to start to build some more of the community connection with other plant people in the area who are interested in the type of things that I'm interested in. And I'm also going to have a herbal residency program here, kind of like an apprenticeship program,
Oh,
but
wonderful.
yeah, for people who have like recently graduated herb school or who graduated from herb school and, haven't quite dove into their herb business or their herb community or practice or building their own home apothecary or whatever it is that they want to do. I want to
Yeah.
offer a space for them to come and like be at a place surrounded by herbs with, 3 meals a day, and they get a chance to work on their projects and their business through um with support from me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I want to take a leap into doing this like teacher thing. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
my like big vision and goal for this year.
I love that. How
Thanks.
about you?
well, for me, one of the big things is really doing the astrology practice a lot more seriously. So I finished year one of Freedom Cole's Vedic astrology course this year, which was really intense and a really good education. And I'm now doing readings for donation. So I'm still doing those for a while. I want to keep doing those. So if anybody wants a reading for donation, I can look at I can see the karmic framework of what's going on in your life and offer some basic remedies. But I'm still, I've completed level 1, but I'm going to be doing level 2 this year too. So by the end of that, I'll be, um, having more of a professional website and that kind of stuff. Um, and we're also going to be doing more astrology based magical
Oh yeah.
products too. So I'm going to be
Oh,
electing times to
I'm
make
excited.
some like salves and anointing oils and incense and that kind of stuff. Because that's a skill that
oh,
I have.
Yeah.
I've learned now
wow.
how to do the elections, and I think it's stuff people want.
Mm-hmm.
And we can do it. So we're going to start doing that, and then also we're going to do a astrological garden this year as
Mm.
well. So that's one of the other
Oh,
projects.
what
Yeah.
is that? Tell me what that is.
So it's the way I'm thinking about it is like a circular or square garden uh as an astrological chart, so with the
Mm-hmm.
zodiac, and we're planting it based on plants that are associated with the signs of the
Nice.
zodiac, oriented east to
Yeah.
west, so Aries is in the east, and we go around the zodiac with the particular plants. We've done it, planting them at particular times, phases of the moon, astrological lines, and so on. So then when you're in the middle
Oh,
of that garden, then you're in the center of the universe, right? So it's like
yeah.
yeah, so it's that kind of a thing. And then it could be a teaching garden as well for what
Good
we have.
meditation spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can imagine doing some really amazing magic in the center
Yeah.
of the universe.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if depending on what sign you're facing, what planets you're facing, working with the planets facing that way. Yeah, totally.
And
Yeah.
also then those I feel like those plants then have a lot more of the astrological stuff.
Yeah.
The solar
Yeah,
plants
yeah.
are gonna be more solar.
Yeah.
The martial plants are going to be more martial. The Leo, so on.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah.
those some of the big and then also we're going to do a our conference again this year in September. Should be. We haven't finalized the date yet, but we're really excited about that year too. So
Yeah.
those are all the big things for us mainly.
That's great. And I'm very excited. I've been hired by a group called Ren Adventures, and I'm leading a tour to magical Cornwall in July.
Ooh.
What?
And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I've got friends in Cornwall, and I love that place. It's like the forgotten Celtic land. Everybody wants to go to Ireland. Everybody wants to go to Scotland. Everybody wants to go to Wales. But Cornwall is like feral Celts.
That's
And
awesome.
I just love it. So that'll be in July. And if people want info on it, they can go to Ren Adventures. It's all one word, REN, like Renaissance, adventures.com.
Okay.
And yeah, we've got enough people signed up that we actually are going to do it.
Awesome.
So, yeah,
That sounds
it's
so
going to be
fun.
great. There's so many ancient monuments there and so many just weirdly magical places. Yeah, it's good.
You think maybe it's because the name is Cornwall? It's like it's just not as mystical. It's like
Well, but I mean the name Cornwall is an anglicized version of Kernow, which is Kernow.
Ah.
And maybe that seems more, who knows?
Just to the
I think they're
American ear,
probably just,
we hear corn and we just think of,
Cornfields or something.
right, exactly. We think of the Midwest. Is that in Iowa at all, Cornwall?
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. How long is that trip?
It's 10 days. And then once that tour is over, I'm going to stay in country another 2 weeks. And I'm going to go to Dorset to the Jurassic Coast, where you walk along the beach and then just fossils everywhere. And then I'm going to go to the New Forest. I've never been to the New Forest, and I really want to see it.
Very cool.
I've spent a lot of time in Britain. I first went there when I was 17, which was 50 years ago. But that's one place I've never been down to that part of the coast. And some of my Ballard family is from there. So it'll be an interesting coming, I think.
Very cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm excited for you.
And then maybe come up and see you all in September. That
I
would
would
be
love
wonderful.
that. We really would love to.
I'd love to see you both again.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
I know. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us tonight, Byron. It was really fun.
Delightful.
Yeah.
And enjoy the puppy.
Thank you. And
Big
enjoy the
puppy.
beautiful winter season. Yeah. Rest, relax, restore.
Yeah, yeah. You too. And enjoy the no snow, because I'm sure it'll come.
Yeah.
It will.
Sooner
Yeah.
or later.
We've been having fun out there. So yeah.
I do like the snow though too, kind of like it's like a blanket on everything and then
crystals everywhere of snow.
Yeah. And the silence, the quiet of a deep snowfall is just wonderful, I think. We rarely have snow that deep here anymore. Knock on wood. Well, it's good to see you all. See you soon again, I hope.
All right. Good night, Byron.
Happy New Year. Good night.